Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Resilient Voices of Refugees podcast. If you're new here, I'm Solange, your host, and I'm also super excited to be back as well. And before I proceed, I want to give a shout out to everyone who has watched the previous episode and especially those who gave us the feedback. It was really amazing to read your thoughts, your recommendations, and we promise to incorporate them in the upcoming episodes. And I'm so excited today. We have an amazing guest who is a humanitarian professional, a refugee rights advocate, and I really can't wait to hear from him, his experience, and the message that he has for us. And without taking much time, Bonkey, Muhumure, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about you beyond the titles and the background. The floor is yours.
First of all, thank you so much for having me, Solange. It's been a long time as engaging each other. Yeah, so, and everybody who's going to see this, I'm saying hi. Hi, guys. I love you all, even though I can't see you, but I can feel you. I can see your effort. Now, who is this guy talking to you? My name is Bonkey Muhumure. I live in Nairobi in the meantime. That's where I'm working. But I come from DRC, because the obvious reason that you all know, because of the war that's happening. Yeah, I'm a youth. I am a humanitarian, like you just said, but who's specialized in working with the refugees communities in the East African region. That's why I work basically. Though we have a couple of meetings here and there within and outside Africa, but that's what I do exactly. But my passion is to work with the youth. That's what I do. That's my desire. That's my zeal. Yeah. I don't want to sound, professional, giving ambiguous, whatever. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Well, that's a good introduction, and I know you myself, and I'm sure people will be really happy to hear more about your inspiring story. And you mentioned you're from DRC, but you live in Kenya. Does that mean that you're a refugee in Kenya? And if yes, could you take us through how is it like, to be from DRC, but living in Kenya? How is that experience like?
Thank you for asking me that question, actually. Mm-hmm. Well, in papers, I'm a refugee. And I hate saying that. I hate it with passion. In papers, I'm a refugee, but I do not consider myself as a refugee just because of the meaning which is attached to whoever is called a refugee.
Right.
If you've seen the logo of UNHCR, refugees are cut their hands. They have no arms, right? Because the connotation here is that the refugees are incapacitated. They have no abilities, no skills, no whatever it is. For that case, I don't call myself as a refugee. I am just maybe different from the locals, but I'm not a refugee. I am not. I am telling people to resist that. And that's my passion. I'm telling people, yes, in papers, you and I, we know the challenges of traveling with, travel document. This is bullshit. And I'm sorry to use that now. But all I'm trying to say, yes, in papers, we are refugees, but in the real sense, we are not. We are like any other human being with, passion, talent, skills, knowledge that we can utilize to impact the societies, both the refugees and also the host communities. Now, you've asked me the question, how is life like in Kenya? How was it, at the beginning of it? I don't know whether that was your question.
Yeah, you're good. I mean, like, how is it like to live in Kenya as someone from DRC? I'm avoiding to mention the refugee part.
Finally. All right, you can use it for the better part of maybe those people who still are, buy to that idea. But okay. Refugees go through a lot. maybe for me, just to paint the picture, I'll have to go back slightly. Some of the challenges I don't know, the refugees, or rather, those people experience, or as they are fleeing the country, and also some of the challenges they face in transition, because we believe maybe Kenya and other countries which are hosting the refugees, maybe they are just living there in the meantime, as they see perhaps maybe they'll get a third party country, or rather go back home if maybe situation get stabilized. Now, so some of the challenges, honestly, personally, what I encountered, I remember very well our homesteads being burnt, the whole villages. Actually, I come from South Kivu in the Mulenge region. Everybody's talking about that in the media with wrong perspectives, actually. So I remember almost 360 villages being burned. One of them was my region, actually. Actually, maybe just to shed light, I come from the same region with the renowned Apostle Paul Gitwaza, and his village too was also burned. So, so our village was burned. Our cattle were raided. I saw my beloved being killed by the people that I formerly called, friends and neighbors and all that. I had to spend, sleepless nights in the forest just for me to seek, and my few other relatives I was with, just to seek safety. We had to travel for about 3 days for us just to find, a certain so-called city, just for us to be rescued, something like that. So those are some of the challenges I can recall, even though I was still young. But these are some of the memories I live with up to date. Now, while in transition, that is in the second countries, I remember we had no food. My goodness, in the camps, we had no food. Sometimes not nutritious. I remember I still see the faces of the children whom I saw who were getting malnourished. Some of them having kwashiorkor. I still remember the challenges of acquiring education, proper housing. We find like we are 7, 9, all of us in one tent. I still remember us having challenges with medical attention. All these are like, I don't know. Sometimes when we speak of these things, people they think we are just narrating stories. This is a
Yeah.
experience. We've all
Yeah.
experienced. And now also being here, in Kenya, Uganda, wherever you guys may be, we have still seen these challenges following us. Accessing education, my goodness, I remember I was privileged enough to have had, scholarship from primary to all the way to university. I did my bachelor degree in development studies at Mount Kenya University, one of the most prestigious universities in East Africa. But it was a challenge to secure the scholarship. I had endless applications. Sometimes you don't know where to ask, and maybe we have many competitors and all that. But that is maybe another section. But what I'm trying to tell you, and I was privileged. Many thousands of them haven't gotten scholarships even up to date. I had, challenges, getting, people to show me the way. Even the parents do not understand what to do not have any guidance at all. So there are many challenges refugees are going through here in Kenya, and maybe beyond. But basically the basic needs, honestly speaking, I've visited Kakuma camps and whatever, what are they going through, through right now, including, what Trump is done cutting, the funds and all that. There is a lot. Maybe with time you're going to talk about that. But basically, having said that, I'm not just painting this picture to sympathize, or maybe to pity you guys. Those,
Nice.
for me, those challenges, I used them as assets, just
Mm.
to I won't say market my story, but just to climb, using that
Mm.
story to achieve what exactly I want to achieve. So I don't want to feel. I mean, you guys feel sorry. The UNHCR and the other organization, they're already feeling sorry for you. That's why they are cutting your arms and all that. But I just want to make you understand that whatever you're going through, I also went through the same, but there is a different story. But maybe I'm here to tell you, and you'll be glad once you hear that. Thank you.
Wow, that was really powerful. And as you were saying, I was just reflecting on my story as well, and the stories of other refugees that I got time to interact with. And I believe it's a shared story and shared experience. And I mean, even getting basic need, it's something very difficult. So I'm glad that you highlighted that the challenges before even going to a refugee camp or to a host community, a host country, the challenges started before that. And yeah, you mentioned about the challenges of accessing education. And I mean, I've read your bio, which is very inspiring, and I've seen your previous experience, the works that you've been doing with different organizations. So I want to understand, how did you land to those job opportunities, and how was the experience like? I mean, because a lot of refugees struggle a lot, whether it's systemic barriers, whether it's social, barriers or cultural barriers. How did you navigate those challenges in accessing employment?
Thank you so much, Solange. Thank you so much, by the way. Maybe those. I feel like maybe the question here we need to understand. I mean, first of all, understand what are some of the challenges that refugees perhaps face when they are seeking, jobs, and maybe now, how did I get there? Because I think I need first of all to highlight some of the challenges that I actually faced. Um, some of the challenges generally, some of them may not be applicable to me, but I have colleagues who are refugees, and we have different forums where we get to hear from them exactly what they may have gone through or what they're going through. So this is a general, so I'm not just here to paint a picture that I've gone through all this and I've overcome all of them. No, I'm not just trying to say that. So one of them that I know is work discrimination. You'll realize that when it comes to hiring, the host countries, they prioritize their locals, their nationalities. And I remember, just this is maybe different. I remember there was a time I was way back in high school. We had so-called contests. I used to do public speaking, expose, and then I can speak. I mean French, don't not that fluent, but I think I can be able to ask for bread and all that. So I did my competition from district all the way to state house, so called, I don't know, White House in the US and all that. Upon getting there, uh, because I was eloquent in that language, honestly speaking, because I had background, French in DRC and all that. So they said, because you are a refugee, you're a different national, we will make you number 3 instead of number 1. So that number 1 and 2 will go to Germany. So I missed the chance of going to Germany just because I'm a refugee. So that is okay. It is not, I mean, in place of work, but I'm just trying to paint a picture to you to understand how the refugees are vulnerable, discriminated in all areas of life, including places of work. So you will find, like, in hiring processes, a refugee may have all the criteria met and all that, but still they'll choose the second option just because he's a refugee. So that is one of the challenges. Another challenge is lack of recognition of their documentations. You'll find many people are actually opting to go for informal sector just because their documents are not accepted. We have doctors who were previously doctors, nurses, lawyers, and all these whatever professionals in the refugee communities, just because where they are right now living, their documents are not given recognition, are not upheld, are not given values. They end up just becoming mere citizens with no future and all that. So Recognition of documents is a very huge problem, not only in Kenya, but also I remember I attended a forum in Uganda a couple of 2 months ago, if I can remember well. We had all their refugee refugee-led organizations where they were highlighting some of the challenges they are encountering, saying that the governments are not actually including them, they are not included in participation. And a number of things, actually some of the things they highlighted, they said that you'll find they have their practitioners, medical practitioners, who are actually doing a very good job, but the government does not give them licenses just to operate in the country. You can imagine somebody is a good doctor, but they're denied licenses just to operate in that country. So recognition, discrimination, something else here, language barrier. You'll find, yes, they have elementary skills in terms of maybe English, because it is, I think, the widely used language. But you realize in every given field, there are some technical terms, in terms of specialization. So you'll find these refugees, they are not familiar with such. They may be able to exchange greetings, they are at a level in terms of expressing themselves. So because of that, these host communities or countries, they are somehow hesitant to give them jobs, because these people are not able to communicate, efficiently, effectively, and all that, because that actually becomes a self hindrance, obstacle. This may have nothing to do with the government or maybe the companies themselves, but this, it has to do with the personal initiative. You are not actually equipped, as you ought to be. So we have, something else. Oh my goodness. Refugees, especially maybe young refugees like me and many others, you'll realize most of these organizations, they require for internship and prior experience. Imagine you're a refugee. The only thing you've been in the camps all along. Fortunately enough, an organization just gives you a chance. You go to school, after you go to school, maybe through a scholarship and all that, you know nobody and all that. And then they're asking you to have some prior experience. From where? Even in the camps, you're not even given a chance to serve. If you are given a chance to serve, you're just becoming like a janitor and all that, nothing else. So internship and prior experience is a challenge to most of the refugees. They don't have that prior experience, and this is one of the most required, obligation for you to fully, apply for these lucrative jobs and all that. So it is also a challenge. Now, financial constraints, for instance, suppose you are a refugee, and then you have to, or maybe these days they are somehow revolutionizing, whereby you find like most of the interviews are done online and all that. But prior to that, you will find like maybe you live in Kakuma, you live whichever, name it, whichever camp you live in, and then you're told go to Kigali, there is an interview in there. You have no money for transport. You have no awareness of that area. How are you going to maneuver? It's a challenge, isn't it? Something attached to that. Refugees are given mobility restriction, like movement restriction. You're not supposed to go to the camps. You need to ask, like there are these, are they called? I don't know, these stops, isn't it? You need to be evaluated every maybe 1 kilometer. You need to, I don't know, you need to tell the chief, the nyumba kumi, you need to tell your mother, you need to tell the whatever. You are answering a lot of questions just for going just 1 mile kilometer or something like that. So there is this challenge. Refugees are not given free movement in and out, their homesteads and all that. So it is also a challenge. You can name it. There is a whole bunch of challenges refugees are going through. How did I maneuver? Honestly speaking, I'm not different from the others, but I can tell you from the very beginning, I knew I have a different story, that the world is willing to listen. But having the different story wasn't enough. I had to brand myself. I have a friend of mine. I consider her as my mother because she lives in the US. She's a Kenyan. I think she's somebody who's really inspired me. She's written a book, and then she gave me the book. Under that section, she tells whoever the reader that for you have to give other people the reason as to why they need to help you. Yes, you are in need, but you need to convince them why should they help you. So we all have a reason. We all in need. We're all desperate. We're all vulnerable. But are we convincing the world enough that they need to help us? So that's what I focused on. Many refugees here, they focus on their story, but they do not focus on what to do just to overcome that. And I think having used many words in this session, how I wish that the key point you can take home is kindly understand what you need to do just to move from that cocoon, from that section of vulnerability. One, kindly, your story is not enough. Yes, it is one of the assets, but it is not enough. Actually, surround yourself with skills, networking skills. How do you communicate to other people? How do you, I mean, when you get in the room, are you are people sensing you? Are they seeing you? Can actually when I remember the time you attended the UN conference. I was also attending another one, and I was representing DRC in the general whatever assembly. Then I remember the vice president of Kenya spoke, and then afterwards I had to speak. Then when I spoke, everybody was actually chanting. Why? Because this was the only opportunity I had. I had to make my voice heard. I had to make them understand. Yes, I am a refugee, but I still have some abilities. I can still make changes. So what I'm trying to tell people is build networks. Whoever it is, your leader in that locality, some people in the university, students, maybe those organizational leaders, whoever it is, just make them understand who you are and let them see, that desire. We all have a desire, we all have a goal, we all have something we want to achieve, but many a times it is left with us. So there is a way you can tell it for some people to see that indeed there is something in you, and that is what is going now to ignite them to do something, to take an action. So for me, I knew how to market myself from the very beginning. Just maybe to understand, maybe for people to understand. I remember the first job I did was when I graduated from high school. Eventually, first of all, in high school, I was the school captain. They are called school president, whatever. Eventually, after graduation, I was hired as a teacher, a French teacher.
Wow,
just
that's inspiring.
Actually, after graduation, I did not stay home for a month, which means the next month I was already on a salary. Why? Because I had already marketed myself enough. The next job from there, I worked with the Catholic Church as the clerk in Nairobi, which is something pretty good. That wasn't enough. I was lucky enough, got another job at French embassy called Alliance Française, where we used to train students who were going to France, to further their studies. I also had a job at the US embassy, as a consultant in terms of refugee matters. And actually, I was all doing that when I'm still a student, just to make you understand.
Wow.
Why? They saw something unique. They saw passion, because I had to make them understand that, yes, I am a refugee, as you stipulated, but I am different. I am capable.
Right.
And I used to make sure that I am having connection and all that. So many other organizations came afterwards and all that. But my point is, guys, kindly build your skills, build your network. They say your network is your net worth, the people you know. And these people how do you portray yourself? How do you speak to them? And something else, you need to, brand yourself on LinkedIn. Solange is doing a very tremendous job. I wish I can be on your standard, actually. Solange speaks, and then I wonder, where did I go? Which school did I go to? And which school did she go to? Can you brand yourself? Many a times I get, conferences. Right now, I am heading to Morocco next week. These are just conferences, people reaching out. They have seen my portfolio on LinkedIn, social media platform, and then they feel like they want to be. I mean, I want to take part in their initiative. So is Solange doing, and many other youth are doing. So what I'm trying to tell
Mm,
you, know how to brand yourself. Don't just remain vulnerable. Don't pity yourself.
mm,
I don't want that. Kindly know that you can utilize, restructure your story
right.
alongside with your passion and become whoever you want to become.
Mm.
And that's what I want to tell you guys. Thank you. So I have used
Wow.
many words. I'm sorry for that.
Wow, wow. I mean, it's so inspiring listening to you
Yeah.
and how you talk about the challenges, but how you also talk about how you shouldn't stop until you achieve,
Mm,
what you dream of achieving. And
yeah.
as you are talking about the challenges, there are so many, honestly.
Mm.
Some of the challenges you mentioned, I've faced them myself.
Oh,
Whether it's traveling, whether it's discrimination,
yeah.
whether it's sometimes we just have imposter syndrome because the
Mm,
society around us has treated us in a way that we feel like we are not enough,
yeah.
in a way that we feel like our story is just useless. We are losers. We
Yeah.
can't do
Sure.
anything good. So how powerful it was listening to you on how
Yeah.
to just think beyond that
Yeah.
status, think beyond of me being a refugee. I'm a leader, I'm a change
Mm,
maker, I
mm,
have talents, I have all this capabilities to do something
yeah.
great.
Mm,
And one thing that
wow.
I would like to really ask you is, as
Mm,
you've navigated those job opportunities, what
mm,
was the unique challenge that you faced as an employee, in the
mm,
work
mm,
environment,
mm.
specifically?
Wow. Well, as usual, challenges are many. Not only to refugees but also to everybody who is at work, isn't it?
Mm,
Maybe some of the challenges are, you know, meeting, targets, team, how to collaborate with others and all that. But specifically, because I work with refugees, honestly, maybe some of the thing that is recurring every single day. Yesterday, I had some interviews with refugees, some of them from Ethiopia, others from Somalia, others from DRC, and so forth. They tell you this, I'm not supposed to disclose this, I'm not even going to disclose. The point is, they are in safe houses and all that because of insecurity and all that. So the point is, when you listen to their narratives, it becomes a challenge to me because you find like I have like this syndrome. How can I put it? Because I get to hear their story and then it kind of brings back the flashback of what I went through. So
right.
me, I find that I'm somehow becoming retrogressive. I mean, these flashbacks, they bring bad memories and all that, and sometimes it becomes a very unique challenge to separate work life and personal life. You find like I've
Mm,
had a lot of stories, I've seen a lot of things happening and all that. You'll find like maybe perhaps I'm carrying the same back home. Sometimes I spend sleepless nights, trying to wonder
mm,
how is this person, coping up. What
yeah.
can I do? You find like every single day I'm thinking, what can I do? How can I help out? And you find like the problems are enormous. You cannot solve all of them all at once.
Mm,
And you live this life of somehow you're guilty. Oh, I helped this one. I haven't helped this one. What can I do? And maybe you have limited powers and all that. So that is
yeah.
a unique challenge that I've faced. And that's why I am still, doing everything in my powers collaborating, with various stakeholders,
Right.
trying to train the youth and sensitize, communities just to understand some of their rights and all that. Just because I know once I do that, I'm not going to be the only solution, maker. Instead, I'm going to have a whole huge team around me, and by doing that, I will have, leveraged, the burden, rather than just trying to solve all the problems all at once. So basically, that is one of the challenge, which is somehow unique. But basically, we have these other normal challenges that every worker is going through. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. I love the fact that you don't just face it, but you also look for solutions, which I believe
Yeah.
that's something that we should always think about. That yes, I'm
Yeah.
facing this. Yes, I'm
Mm,
struggling to do this, but what can I do to help
mhm.
myself, but also help those who might face a similar
Yeah.
challenge?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And
Yeah.
just to wrap up, I mean, I wish we could have
Wow.
more hours and hours to discuss about
Mm,
this, but time
mm,
is not on our side.
yeah.
Which message would
Mm,
you give to
mm,
stakeholders if you get the chance to sit
mm,
with them and talk to them in person?
mm,
Which
mm.
message would you tell them?
Thank you so much, Solange. First of all, wow, this is a very opportunity for me. But there is something, maybe I think I'm going to package this in three ways.
Mm,
I would wish, maybe first of all, I'll speak to fellow refugees
mm,
or activists. Sometimes there is a difference that I've learned recently between advocacy and activism.
right.
Uh, Activism, this is when you know about something and you just tell about it. Okay, I've seen so and so is eating this and that. That's it. I've seen an accident happening somewhere. That's it. That is activism. You're just narrating what you've just seen. But
Mm,
advocacy goes beyond that. Advocacy,
mm,
yes, you do narrate what is happening, but also you try to seek and find solution to whatever the problem that is. So many times
right.
I realize I personally I also used to do activism. I'm just telling, issues of refugees and all that. But right now I tend to focus more on advocacy, which is, yes, I know about the problems, but what
Mm,
can I do? What can we do as a whole? So that is something, first of all, my fellow activists out there, people into advocacy and all that, kindly, can we prioritize on advocacy that is seeking solutions, not just
mm.
addressing the problems? Something else
Wow.
maybe to talk about, um, to this particular fellow who's listening to me or seeing me right now, I want to tell you something. Number one, you're a strong person. Yeah, you're a
Wow.
strong person.
Mm,
I repeat this, you're a strong person. Yeah. I see courage in your face. I do see that. Mm-hmm. I do. I see boldness. I see hope. I
mm,
see that you desire for a change. Yeah, that's something I see. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I see the success that perhaps you don't appreciate.
right.
Yeah, you've already achieved quite a lot. You did, but you perhaps nobody's telling you that you're a
Mm,
hero in your own journey. Yeah, you are, because not everybody is where you are right now.
yeah.
Many a times when we tend to get discouraged, want to give up and all that, how I wish be reminded that the trajectory you've already covered is quite long for you just to give in. So I'm telling you, you have a success that is worth celebration. And
Mm,
at the same time, when I'm saying this, I want to tell everybody that their best version is yet to be unfold. Yeah, there is a lot for everybody who is still alive. You can still hope, you can still, get something that you've always wanted to get. Therefore, there is a lot of journey, and this journey, for you to get there, it has to be coupled with tremendous, rejections. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Actually, for me, rejections, they trigger me. Actually, it's like a challenge. I don't take no as a no, as a full stop, or as something that intends just to tell me be quiet. No, actually, when somebody tells me a no, I find, actually, that is the reason for me to showcase, to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how I wish I get this no every single day. Yeah. And I like
Right.
that. So
Wow.
actually, you will get more rejections than yeses in your
Mm.
journey. Kindly
Right.
be assured of that. You will knock, doors will not be open. But go to the
Mm-hmm.
next one. That's why we have many doors. We don't have one, isn't
Right.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So kindly, you will get more rejections, stresses, anxiety, and all that. But be reminded that perhaps you know somebody who shared the same story, but is where you desire to be. And I'm telling you, you can also be there. Also,
Wow.
learn to connect with other people.
You were giving the message to refugees and the stakeholders, and yeah,
Oh yeah. All
and
right.
keep up.
Well, yeah. Sorry for cutting you short. So basically, what I can tell the refugees is that you belong to every room you step into. Nobody should let you feel like you are unworthy. You don't deserve to be there. You must be there like any other person. And you will not be there just because you're a refugee. You will be there because you have all it takes for you to be there. And therefore, that's what I'm telling you. Yes, you're a refugee. That is an added advantage, but also kindly seek all the prerequisite for you to make change. Now, turning on to the stakeholders, I think it is high time for them to realize that the refugees no longer need charity. Instead, they need opportunity and empowerment. That is one thing these stakeholders they need to know. They need to know that they ought to come up with policies that eases movement for the refugees. Policies for integration in economic and social life. You know, if they are giving grants to host, communities, so should it be to refugees. If they are educating, whatever needs to be done, you know, uh, has to be done equally. In terms of hiring process, let there be fairness. Let there be transparency. Equity, inclusion, and all that. Something else. These stakeholders and decision makers need to understand is that refugees are untapped reservoirs of talent and innovation. I have a friend of mine who lives in Uganda. He's a co-founder of one of the organization. I mean, he's a co-founder of a company that is into beverages. They are making sodas and drinks and all soft drinks, isn't it? This guy is making quite a huge fortune, employed, both the refugees and the host communities in Uganda. This guy, I don't know, he's doing quite a lot. We have also similar cases here in Kenya and maybe beyond, CEOs, business owners, and all that. So they need to, look us in the mirror of our own ambition, efforts, and capacities, not just, the state of fleeing, you know. So these are just untapped, reservoir. A reservoir is like, a pool of water that is yet to be consumed, isn't it? So we have a pool of talent within the refugee communities. Therefore, they should see them as such and nothing beyond that. So basically, that is what it is, and that is the message I'm telling them. Refugees, for this to happen, maybe stakeholders, they have not maybe, they definitely have a role to play, but for them to see that we as the refugees, we need to come up with initiatives. We need to
Right.
show them this is who we are, a
Mm.
contrast to what they already know. because their image is that we have nothing to offer on the table, but it is us to prove them wrong that indeed we have something to offer. Having said all that, it was my pleasure engaging you guys. I love you so much. There is hope for whoever is still alive. Thank you.
Wow, I must say that I'm inspired, honestly. I mean, I just know you, but I feel like I got to know you again through
Really?
this
Yo!
conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing conversation. And I love the fact that
Yeah.
you spoke the truth
Yeah.
that not so many people speak about. I mean,
Yeah.
acknowledging where we are
Mm.
failing as refugees,
Yeah.
highlighting how we should stand up and
Yeah.
um, prove to people that we can do something. We shouldn't
Yeah.
wait for others to tell us
Yeah.
who we are, because we know
Yeah.
ourselves better and we are the experts of our own
Yeah.
experiences and journeys. So thank you so much for highlighting that, and for the message to the stakeholders to not just see refugees as beneficiaries but as eco partners, in
Wow.
solutions that matters for their
Mm-hmm.
lives. So I really love that, and how I wish that we can have another conversation maybe in the coming
Mm.
months or days or weeks to discuss more. I know you have a lot of things to share.
Yeah.
You have a lot of experiences that so many
Yeah.
refugees can benefit from. And yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for your time, for the experiences that you shared with us. And to those who will be watching, I
Mm.
believe they'll be inspired. And to the stakeholders, please, if you want to invest in refugees, this
Mm.
is a project that you can invest in. This podcast where we get to hear from
Mm.
the stories of different refugees across the
Mm.
globe, and their experiences and what they want you to do for
Mm.
them or to
Yeah.
partner with them in
Yeah.
doing. Yeah, thank you so much. You have a great day. Bye.
Bye.